Seems legit.
My Legitimates, today we are making this fabulous door sign for my toilet door. You can't really tell it's a toilet door, but I promise it is. Which has my other project, if we open the door, that we made in another video, because I'm childish and need all the childish things. So if you would like to see how to make this with your laser cutter, please stay tuned. Alright, so we're going to go to File and then down to Import, because I'm importing a picture. I've just saved it in here for my convenience. And I've called it toilet sign. And so now we've just opened it. I'm going to make it a bit bigger, just so I can see it a bit better. Then we're going to right click on our mouse and go down to Trace Image. And then this is going to go around all the edge in the purple line. You also want to make sure it's going to delete the photo afterwards, because we won't need it anymore. We click OK. And now it's automatically at a fill. So I'm going to come down to the bottom and click the line that I know I need. So to cut it, it is 3mm speed and 100% power. That is millimeters per second. You can change it to minutes. Now I'm going to put a rectangle around it to actually make the edge of the door sign. And then we click over there so that we can readjust the size. I'm using the little scroll mouse button to zoom in. So I'm just going to adjust it so it's fairly close to the edge. I don't need it too much bigger. But you can obviously make it any design you like. You can curve the edges as well if you want. I left mine sharp just because I felt like it. Now we're going to select the whole thing. And I'm going to right click and go copy. I promise there's a reason for this in a minute. And then we're going to right click and paste. So we're going to get the same thing. So one of these I'm going to set to be the main board and just do the outline part of the people. So we're going to change it down the bottom to number 1, which is a 50-50. So it's 50% power, 50% speed, and you want it to do the outline before the cutting, which is why you saw me shift hold and move it up. And then this one, we're going to delete the edge line because these are the cut pieces I'm going to put onto the board. So the red line for me is cut, the blue line is an engrave line. And that will just help me with the correct placement later. So now I'm going to put them together and then I'm going to adjust the height to how tall I want it. I've set mine to millimeters. You can set your program to inches if you only work in inches. It's funny, I sew in inches, but I work everything else in millimeters. So I keep mine set to millimeters. It's now a lot bigger, as you can see. Now we just need to move it over to make sure it's actually in the cutting grid square like that. And what else am I going to do? And we're going to check to make sure I've got the air assist on. So all those little green bits on the side need to be on. And then we're going to save it. So I'm using a 3mm plyboard, not an MDF. I'm using like a wood grain one so that we get the look when we're going to stain it. So right now I am framing up the edge. It was just sending home just now. So it's going to frame it up and I'm going to move the wood down so that I waste less of it. There's no point in having a big gap. I won't be able to use it for anything else. So I've pulled it down to better align it close to the edge of the wood. And then once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and hit start. It will do the engraving first. And then, so you can see I've sped it up here. So it's done the engraving part first, which was really fast. And now this is all cutting it out individually. I possibly could have done a second cut on this because it didn't quite cut all the way through, which you'll see in a minute. But I also have a Dremel, so I sanded them down. So it all worked out fine, but it's now all done. That took about 20 minutes in real life, but I've just sped it up so that you're not sitting here forever. And you can see me tapping on it. The tapping on it shows me if it's completely cut. So right now, before I move it, I could actually go ahead and do a second cut. And then it would definitely cut through and then I could just pull it out. But I've pulled it out anyway, and we're just going to snap out the pieces because most of it is actually cut. And you'll see I've got a few rough edges, but I'll show you how to clean those up in a minute when we go back inside. Because right now it is 1 degree Celsius out in the cold. Apparently I only like to engrave in mornings. Seems to be the trend that I've got going, and it's always cold because I live in a cold winter climate. Not snowing cold, but it's still pretty cold. So you can see here, I'm just pushing all the pieces out. I tend to use my thumb mostly. You can't really see my arms in the way. Sorry about that. But you can see there's a little bit there. I could have avoided that by doing the second cut. You can turn off engraving and just do the cut part. Because you don't want to push too hard, you will snap the pieces. It is only 3 mil thick. But they are coming out quite well here. And again, I'll show you how to clean it up in a minute. All right, we are going to use the Dremel, and I'm going to use the wire brush end and the sanding end to clean up all of the edges and make them all nice and smooth before we go outside to paint and stain these pieces. So let's go. When working with wood stain, I always recommend wearing gloves because I always get it on me otherwise. So these are just disposable gloves. And I like to rub, I know some people like to paint their stain on. I like to rub it. It's the way my dad taught me, so that's what we're going to do. And I've just got like a cloth, an old cloth. And the brand that I'm using today is Feast Watson Proof Tint. And we've gone with colour Walnut. Because I felt like it, really. And this is just, this is the original plate I had under the xtool before I got my honeycomb and stuff. So again, it's just basically a disposable thing. So they've always got like a seal so it won't spill everywhere. I'm just going to rip that off. And then I'm just going to put some like in the corner of the cloth. Now different people do this different ways, so don't come at me if you don't like my way. That's fine. Do it your own way. So I'm just going to put some on and then just wipe it on. So I'm going to start with the edges since I have to move it around so much. Also, edges can potentially soak up quite a lot of the stain. And so now I can put it down and I'm just going to rub with the grain of the wood. Like so. Get some more, do it again. Now because it's just a small project, I won't need a lot. So that little bottle cost $11, I think it was. And it will do many bits of different wood. So a lot of my projects are going to be in this same color because I want everything to match in my house. Now, even though I've stained it, if you have a look, you can still see where everything's going to lie down. So that's going to help later. If you want to, you can do the back. It's not necessary, but some people don't like the raw look on the back. So if that's you, you can just do the back as well. I wouldn't try as hard because, again, nobody sees it unless it falls off the wall. But we're going to do it just for video's sake. Because it's not a very large piece. So it's not like I'm wasting a crap ton of stain anyway. So there we go. I am happy with that amount of darkness. You can always put over more and more layers to get it darker and darker. It's up to you how dark you want your projects. But I'm happy with that, so I'm going to put the lid back on firmly. And then we're going to move on. I'm actually going to take the gloves off. So I videoed this off shot, apparently. So basically all I did was lay them all down and then spray over them with some paint. I am using the Rust-o-lene Ultra Cover paint and primer. So I love Rust-o-lene because it's got the primer in it as well. It does wood, metal and more, so you can do plastic and stuff. So all the different projects that I'm going to do with my laser cutter, I can use this paint for. So we've gone with a satin finish, but it also comes in matte and gloss in the black. So hello Knuckles, my dog's come to say hi. So now I've just got to wait for all of these pieces to dry, and I've made sure that they're laying the correct way in relation to the lines on here. So make sure that I get them on there correctly. So we'll come back once that's dry and do the next bit. So I'm using a gem bond glue here to glue all of the pieces, and I'm just lining them up with the engraving section that we did with the laser. And then I will leave it outside in the sun to dry. And here is my door sign, all up and on the door. It is possibly a little bit dark, but I actually really like it dark. I love walnut stain, what can I say? But I think that came out great. Alright guys, well thank you for tuning in, and I'm sure I will come up with more projects very, very soon.